This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show. Welcome to our MJ podcast. This series, Deep into the Woods, Episode 16, Part 5, 12 Missing Person Cold Cases. There are 3 amazing websites for information on missing people and unidentified remains. Those websites are NamUs, the Doe Network, the Charlie Project. NamUs is a U.S. government website that helps investigators match long-term missing persons with unidentified remains to resolve cases and bring resolution to the victim's family. The NCIC statistics for missing people number over 600,000 a year. There are many missing children and adults that are quickly found alive and well. However, tens of thousands of individuals remain missing. In today's world, it has become an epidemic, and some cases don't even make it in the media. As a nation, we've got to do a lot better to solve these missing person cold cases. They have vanished without a trace. One minute they are there, and the next moment they are gone. MJA has done reenactments of abduction cases with good results. In one case, the perp had only 80 seconds to abduct the child and get completely away without being seen. Just think about it for a moment. 1 minute and 20 seconds. Just 80 seconds. That's all it takes, and the victim is gone. It's a family's worst nightmare is when one of their loved ones disappears without a trace. Please join us as we go deep into the woods to find answers for these missing person cold cases. Good evening. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. Olivia and I will profile 12 missing person cold cases. We are coming to you from Winter Paradise, located in Hudson, Florida. Welcome to 12 missing person cold cases. Case 1. It was on December 12, 1979, is when 20-year-old Charles Edward Collingwood, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Titusville, Florida. Case 2. It was on June 14, 1979, is when 38-year-old Margaret Dash, a black female, disappeared without a trace from Clearwater, Florida. Case 3. It was on September 20th, 1991, is when 30-year-old Daniel Allen Birchfield, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Augusta, Georgia. Case 4. It was on February 26, 1989, is when 26-year-old Lisa Marie Geis, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Norcross, Georgia. Case 5. It was on October 20th, 2007, is when 18-year-old Lee Sterling Cutler, a white male, disappeared from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Case 6. It was on March 11th, 1998, is when 41-year-old Christy Marie Kales, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Blue Island, Illinois. Case 7. It was on October 5th, 1996, is when 34-year-old Kenneth William Harker, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Sioux City, Iowa. Case 8. It was on August 25th, 1993, is when 50-year-old Barbara Lee Elms, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Case 9. It was on July 25th, 1986, is when 27-year-old Stephen James Hedgers, a white male, disappeared without a trace from El Dorado, Kansas. Case 10. It was on June 18th, 1989, is when 24-year-old Joan Marie Butler, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Overland Park, Kansas. Case 11. It was on August 19th, 1981, is when 56-year-old Charles Catlett, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Case 12. It was on November 13th, 1989 is when 24-year-old Angela Pitt Smith, a white female, disappeared without a trace from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia will be on the line. Olivia and I will profile 12 missing person cold cases. Be back in a moment.
Searching in the dark, trusting every clue I found, but the truth has not been told. There's every corner of these woods is hollow. I can't see in the dark.
Welcome to our MJ podcast. This series, Deep into the Woods, episode 16, part 5, 12 missing person cases. We have Olivia on the line. How are you doing tonight?
It's a little soggy down here all day.
Oh, really?
It's doing good otherwise. Yeah, bad storm.
And are you ready to dig into these cold cases?
Yes.
Welcome to Florida. The Doe Network has 215 males and 253 females listed as being missing from the state of Florida. Case 1. Welcome to Titusville, Florida. Missing male. It was on December 12, 1979 is when 20-year-old Charles Edward Collingwood, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Titusville, Florida. Collingwood was spending prison time at the Brevard Correctional Institution. The 20-year-old Collingwood was on work detail outside the prison, and Collingwood asked to use the bathroom, and that's when Collingwood escaped. During a search by sheriff's deputies, they discovered that Collingwood's clothes in a wooded area near the prison. The 20-year-old Collingwood had served most of his 4-year sentence for auto theft. Charles Edward Collingwood was never seen or heard from again. The main suspect in the Collingwood's escape or involved in Collingwood's disappearance was a man who worked as a prison guard at the time of Collingwood's disappearance. Authorities learned that the prison guard was allegedly having an affair with the 20-year-old Collingwood. The prison guard denied the affair and claimed Collingwood was his snitch, keeping him informed about the other inmates. It was learned that this prison guard had a murderous past. In the 1950s, this prison guard suspect murdered and dismembered an 8-year-old Michigan boy. The suspect in question served 20 years in prison for that crime. After his release from prison, he moved his family to Florida. This is when this convicted child killer was hired as a prison guard at the Brevard Correctional Institution, and this prison housed mostly teenagers. During the time that the child killer was working there at the Brevard Correctional Institution, 5 local boys disappeared. This child killer turned prison guard is also considered a suspect in the disappearance of Keith Fleming and Kipling Hess. These 2 boys have never been found. In 1987, the child killer turned prison guard was convicted in the murder of the 14-year-old Randy Ray LaFleur. Excuse me. In 2005, the child killer was sentenced to life in prison and he died in prison later that year. In my eyes, this child killer got off lucky, dying so soon after going to prison. The 20-year-old Charles Edward Collingwood is presumed as to be murdered. The prison guard has not been charged in Collingwood's murder, but he remains the main suspect. This case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, Agent Don Reynolds at 321-633-8419.
Case 2. Welcome to Clearwater, Florida. Missing female. It was on June 14, 1974, when 38-year-old Margaret Dash, a black female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Clearwater, Florida. It was on the morning of June 14, 1974, when Margaret Dash was last seen leaving her home. The 38-year-old Dash was going to the store to get medicine for a sick relative. Margaret Dash did not come back home. Margaret Dash's husband reported his 38-year-old wife as missing on June 15, 1974. About 2 months later, in August 1974, Dash's car she was driving was found abandoned in St. Petersburg, Florida parking lot. The 38-year-old Margaret Dash's disappearance has been linked to the disappearance of 2 other women identified as Retha Hires and Danielle Johnson. All 3 women had come in contact with Cleveland Hill Jr. The 38-year-old Dash was having an affair with Hill. It was reported that Hill threatened to kill Margaret Dash if she did not leave her husband and run away with him. Hill was sentenced to 19 years in federal prison in 1992 for drug trafficking. Hill was released in 2008. Hill has denied any involvement in the 3 women's disappearances. Police were never able to charge Hill, and Hill has since died. This case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Clearwater Police Department at 727-562-4242.
Welcome to Georgia. The Doe Network has 32 males and 55 females listed as being missing from the state of Georgia. Case 3. Welcome to Augusta, Georgia. Missing male. It was on September 20th, 1991 is when 30-year-old Daniel Allen Birchfield, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Augusta, Georgia. On that day is when Birchfield was last seen leaving his residence with 2 unidentified men. The 30-year-old Birchfield has never been heard from or seen again. Daniel Allen Birchfield left his wallet behind inside his home and with his other personal belongings. The 30-year-old Birchfield family has said it was very uncharacteristic of Birchfield to vanish and not attempt to contact his loved ones. A family member reported the 30-year-old Birchfield as a missing person in 1993, which was 2 years after Birchfield was last seen. The case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, Criminal Investigations Division at 706-821-1020.
Case 4. Welcome to Norcross, Georgia. Missing female. It was on February 26, 1989, when 26-year-old Lisa Marie Geese, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Norcross, Georgia. The 26-year-old Geese worked for a custom picture frame company. It was in the evening hours of February 26, 1989, when 26-year-old Geese was last seen at her workplace. It was actually her day off, but the 26-year-old Geese had gone to work to run inventory. 23-year-old Lisa Marie Geese was expected back home later that night. There's a strange twist to this case. On the night the 26-year-old geese disappeared, a fire was started at the picture frame company. The sprinkler system was triggered, but the sprinklers were not connected to the fire alarm. So the water poured for hours without being detected. When employees arrived the following morning, the water was ankle deep on the floor. Near the 26-year-old geese's desk, where the fire had started, there was a pool of blood. Lisa Geese's car was discovered about a block away, and the license tag had been removed. Men working on the roof of a nearby building found Lisa Geese's purse and pager with her jacket. A few days later, a blood-stained cloth mail cart belonging to the picture frame company was found at the bottom of a ravine near the company. 10-pound doorstop stained with blood was also found. Blood was also found on the door of the company van that was parked in the back of the building. A former employee of the picture frame company is a person of interest in this case. Foul play is suspected concerning the disappearance of the 26-year-old Lisa Marie Geese. Case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Gwinnett County Police Department at 770-513-5300.
Welcome to Illinois. The Doe Network has 95 males and 102 females listed as being missing from the state of Illinois. Case 5. Welcome to Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Missing male. It was on October 20th, 2007 when 18-year-old Lee Sterling Cutler, a white male, disappeared from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. At around 9:50 a.m. on that day is when the 18-year-old Cutler was last seen when he dropped off a friend at his home in Buffalo Grove. The 18-year-old Cutler failed to show up for work later that day at his job in Vernon Hills, Illinois. On October 22nd, 2007, Cutler's car was found 200 miles away, parked in a paved pull-off along Highway 33, heading east into Wisconsin. A few hundred yards from where the vehicle was found was a river. The 18-year-old Cutler's backpack and blanket were found during an initial search of the area near the shore of the river. Inside Cutler's backpack was some clothing and letters to and from loved ones. Based upon a receipt found inside of Cutler's car, it is believed that the 18-year-old Cutler visited Kettle Moraine State Forest on the afternoon of October 20th, 2007. A dive team searched the river and turned up Cutler's pants with his wallet and keys. The 18-year-old Cutler's cell phone hasn't been used since 12:30 a.m. on October 20th, 2007, and it appeared to have been turned off after that call. The 18-year-old Lee Sterling Cutler has had no contact with friends or family since his disappearance. The case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Buffalo Grove Police Department, Detective Tara Anderson, at 847-459-2583.
Case 6. Welcome to Blue Island, Illinois. Missing female. It was on March 11th, 1998, when 41-year-old Christy Marie Kales, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Blue Island, Illinois. On that day, around 4:30 p.m., the 41-year-old Kales was last seen leaving her home and holding a Bible, saying she was going to Blue Island Church. The 41-year-old Kales had lost 2 children. One child was lost due to a house fire in 1982, and the other child she lost in 1987 due to SIDS. After the loss of her 2 young children, the 41-year-old Kales had a history of vanishing for weeks on end. Kales moved to the south suburbs to live with family members. She would also see her children periodically. Christy Marie Kales spent time in a psychiatric hospital. Kales admitted to drinking a case of beer a day. Kales' trouble with the law drew convictions for many criminal charges, including contributing to the neglect of a child. DuPage County warrants issued for Kales on charges including criminal damage to property and battery and drunk driving. In 1990, Christy Kales initially challenged papers filed by her husband to divorce her and take custody of their children. After Christy repeatedly failed to show up for divorce hearings in court, the husband's request for divorce was granted. Not showing up for court was typical behavior for Kales. 41-year-old Kales' relatives filed a missing person report. The investigation never resulted in any solid leads. 41-year-old Christy Marie Kales has a daughter, Stacey Ann Peterson, who is also a missing person. MJA has been a consultant concerning the Peterson case. The disappearance of 41-year-old Christy Marie Kales remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call Blue Island Police Department at 708-396-7025.
Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia and I will profile 6 more missing person cold cases. Be back in a moment.
I've been searching in the dark, trusting every clue I found. But the truth has not been told, 'cause every corner of these woods is hollow. I can't see in the dark.
Welcome back to our MJ podcast. This series, Deep into the Woods, episode 16, part 5, 12 missing person cases. Welcome to Iowa. The Doe Network has 44 males and 29 females listed as being missing from the state of Iowa. Case 7. Welcome to Sioux City, Iowa. Missing male. It was on October 5th, 1996, is when 34-year-old Kenneth William Parker, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Sioux City, Iowa. On this date, Parker's vehicle was tagged as an abandoned vehicle by the Plymouth County Sheriff's Office while parked on a gravel road. The vehicle's doors were open and the tires were flat, and it was out of gas. A search of the 34-year-old Parker's home turned up no clues as to his whereabouts. The 34-year-old Kenneth William Parker's mother reported her son as a missing person on October 9, 1996. The 34-year-old Parker left behind his medicine he needed to take for a medical condition. Parker's close attachment to friends and family kept him from wanting to live elsewhere. Foul play is suspecting the disappearance of 34-year-old Kenneth William Parker, and the case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Sioux City Police Department at 712-279-6365.
Case 8. Welcome to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Missing female. It was on August 25th, 1993, when 50-year-old Barbara Lee Elms, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. On that day, the 50-year-old Elms, wearing her Walkman and headphones, was last seen by a neighbor dancing away from her home. That night it rained heavily, but the 50-year-old Elms did not return home. Barbara Lee Elms' personal items, including her purse with her identification and her clothes, were left at home. In the past, if the 50-year-old Elms had left, she took those personal items with her. 50-year-old Barbara Lee Elms' estranged husband filed a missing person report on August 29, 1993. The case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call Cedar Rapids Police Department, Lieutenant Craig Furnish, at 319-286-5478.
Welcome to Kansas. The Doe Network has 77 males and 41 females listed as being missing from the state of Kansas. Case 9. Welcome to El Dorado, Kansas. Missing male. It was on July 25, 1986, when 27-year-old Stephen James Hedgers, a white male, disappeared without a trace from El Dorado, Kansas. Stephen Hedges' wife and daughter was visiting his wife's parents in Washington. In the evening of July 25, 1986, the 27-year-old Hedgers had dinner at a friend's house. After Hedgers left his friend's house, it is the last time that the 27-year-old Hedgers was ever seen or heard from again. After 4 days, when Hedgers' wife couldn't get a hold of him by phone, she reported this 27-year-old Hedgers as missing. Police found the house unlocked with the lights were on, and there was no sign of a struggle. The only things missing were Hedgers' wallet and prescription sunglasses. Both vehicles were located at the home, leading police to believe that the 27-year-old Hedgers had left on foot or was picked up by someone. According to Hedges' mother, on the morning her 27-year-old son disappeared, he had went to work early and witnessed a drug deal go down. Hedges was to call his mother the next day, but the call never came. Detectives thought it was odd that Hedges' boss didn't call police after 4 days of not showing up for work. Police suspect foul play in the disappearance of 27-year-old Stephen James Hedges. The case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the El Dorado Police Department at 316-321-9120.
Case 10. Welcome to Overland Park, Kansas. Missing female. On June 18, 1989, 24-year-old Joan Marie Butler, a white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Overland Park, Kansas. Butler had spent the previous evening with friends. Evidence at Butler's apartment indicates that the 24-year-old Butler made it home, and it seemed she was interrupted by someone. The 24-year-old Butler was missing with her rental car, along with $900 from her bank account. A neighbor reported hearing a loud thud at approximately 4:30 a.m. on the morning of Joan Butler's disappearance. On June 25, 1989, the rental car was located in a Lawrence, Kansas apartment complex. As law enforcement arrived and waited, a man approached the vehicle and opened the trunk. As the police approached him, he quickly closed the trunk and was able to flee to escape. The car was preliminarily processed at the scene and then further processed on June 26, 1989. Evidence from the interior of the car included fingerprints belonging to Richard Grissom. Also found was a wallet containing identification for Grissom and his many aliases. In the trunk, a drop of blood later linked to 24-year-old Butler was found. According to testimony during the 1990 trial, a close associate said he had first noticed Grissom driving the rental car on June 20th, 1989. On July 7th, 1989, Grissom was apprehended in Dallas, Texas by the FBI. In 1990, Grissom was convicted of the murders of Joan Butler, Christine Roosh, and Teresa Brown. During the investigation, Grissom, the killer, stated that the woman's remains would be located in Missouri because Missouri had the death penalty. Would not be located in Missouri because Missouri had the death penalty. I apologize. Despite intensive searching both locally and across the country, the women have never been located. The disappearance of 24-year-old Jo Marie Butler remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Overland Park Police Department at 913-895-6300.
Welcome to Louisiana. The Doe Network has 102 males and 74 females listed as being missing from the state of Louisiana. Case 11. Welcome to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Missing male. It was on August 19, 1981 is when 56-year-old Charles Catlett, a white male, disappeared without a trace from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On that day, Catlett, a railroad lobbyist, phoned his office to say he was on his way to a meeting on the airline highway. The 56-year-old Catlett did not say who he was meeting. After the phone call, Catlett left his home and was never seen or heard from again. The 56-year-old Catlett's company car was found 2 weeks later in suburban Denver, Colorado. Catlett's credit cards were used in New York, Colorado, Alabama, Kansas, and Louisiana by a man who looked decades younger than the 56-year-old Catlett. A California man was questioned in the disappearance, but no charges were ever filed. The case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Baton Rouge Police Department at 225-389-2000.
Case 12. Welcome to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Missing female. It was on November 13th, 1989, when 24-year-old Angela Pitts Smith, white female, disappeared and vanished without a trace in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The 24-year-old Smith went missing under suspicious circumstances from her home. On November 16, 1989, Smith's husband, George Smith, filed a missing persons report with the sheriff's office. George Smith told police he and his wife argued briefly the night before she disappeared. The next morning, Smith said his wife Angela got out of bed and packed 2 suitcases and told him she was leaving him. George Smith said his wife left in a 1981 Mercedes. Smith told police it was the last time he saw his 24-year-old wife. On November 17, 1989, George Smith claims he found Angela's vehicle in the long-term parking lot at the New Orleans airport. Detectives discovered that Smith's second wife, 33-year-old Sheila L. Smith, was murdered in her home on February 2, 1985 in St. Landry Parish. Her body was found by her husband, George Smith. Smith was later convicted of arranging the murder for hire of his second wife, 33-year-old Sheila L. Smith. In 1987, a woman who had been living with Smith in Lafayette, Louisiana, was found dead in her apartment. She was the victim of an apparent suicidal shooting. However, evidence existed that led police to suspect the woman had not attempted suicide, but no charges were filed in the case. Investigators seized a $500,000 life insurance policy taken out by George Smith on Angela Smith. George Smith, who was convicted of arranging the murder for hire of his second wife, Sheila, and suspected in the disappearance of his third wife, Angela. George Smith died in prison in March of 2000. Angela Smith was declared legally dead in February 1993. The body of 24-year-old Angela Pitts Smith has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, Colonel Brian White, at 225-389-5000.
Okay, Olivia, is there anything you'd like to add to these cases?
Yeah. I think we've heard of St. Landry Parish, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm making a trip there in January.
Yeah. Familiar place, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this Grissom, wasn't he a serial killer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 cases he was profiled that had some type of involvement of a serial killer. Grissom was one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me that a lot of these cases I don't know. It just seems like these people may fall in the hands of serial killers. You know, they just take off. Well, the one, it was obvious the husband was killing his wives, but do you think a lot of them fall in the hands of serial killers, or?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of cases.
Wait,
What?
no, there's a loudness here. I got to tell Mike to tell people upstairs to keep it down because I'm not going to be kept up all night again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
What were you saying?
There's a lot of cases that, okay, after they get a lead or whatever, there's a lot of cases that are related, um, especially in certain areas in certain states. Just like Illinois, we had a podcast we called the Peoria, Illinois 7. It was 7 sex workers that came up missing. None of them's ever been found, and um, they caught one serial killer who confessed to 2, but the other 5 are still open. And come find out, there was 3 serial killers working in that same county at the same time. And so
Yeah.
that's why they can't make heads or tails of it. Now, all 3 of them has been caught, but like I said, as far as the PRO 7, there's only been 2 of them that's been solved. And, so
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And you know too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm done. I was going to say, you know, a lot of these people, you got to watch who you marry too. You know, some of these people are killers.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that. But I'm done. Okay, that's it for me. Sorry for the interruption before.
That's
just
fine.
Disturbance here. You know.
I want to thank Olivia for being on the show tonight. A special thanks to our viewers and listeners for tuning in, for y'all have been so kind. I have a quote for you all. Cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul, the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. Napoleon Hill. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJ podcast, this series, Deep into the Woods. This has been episode 16, part 5, 12 missing person cold cases. And we say to all of you, good night from Hudson, Florida, located on the Gulf of Mexico.
Creepy kids, you've got a while to go before you're in. Make a wish, we'll burn it all above the evidence. Simple way, don't want them to know where you've been again. Don't tell your friend, and you can't let anyone know what we did. Caught in the clouds, want to leave here on the run now. Float from the ground, out of the body and leave it all we found. Floating ghost light through the atmosphere, like spirit vines, crawling deep through the underskin. Things will change, like